you probably got that push notification on your phone. It's Eric and John once again. Hopefully you got the post. You're part of the notification gang. But we're here at the blockchain center, and today we are learning about Rust web scraping, enums, and why they matter. And I have John. What's up, John?
Hi.
What's up? So we already had a live stream on Rust, but we're here again.
Yeah, this is the follow-up where we go a little bit deeper into. We just go we're going only one step deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did we do last time? Last time we did.
Last time was this is how you install Rust. This is what a string is. This is how you reverse it. Today we are building on all those concepts, but introducing HTTP requests.
Ooh.
And understanding a little bit how enums are used to do error handling.
Okay.
In them. And then we are going to scrape and parse data from the web, which means we're going to demonstrate how to do something actually useful for people.
Oh. Usefulness. Okay, cool. Yeah, so enums. Let's just talk about that for 1 second. And let me see if I can pull it up while we're talking about it. Let's see. Cargo Rust. We'll go to search.
And this is one of many fundamental topics in Rust. But
all right, I got it pulled up. Let's just talk about it real quick. So you can talk about it and I'll follow along.
Okay.
Enums.
Yep.
Dun, dun.
As it explains, enums in Rust are similar to those of compiled languages like C, which is not a great explanation because it doesn't actually explain what they are.
He's like, yeah, you remember that. They're more commonly known as algebraic data types. If you're coming from a functional programming background, an important detail is that each enum variant has data to go along with it. So we got, let's see, simple enum, first, second, third variant.
So
location.
The TLDR summary is enums are a type that enumerate different selections.
Mm-hmm.
So the basic way to enumerate a choice is true and false. But that's a little bit problematic because there's only two. What if you want four? Yep. What if you want red, blue, green, yellow? Well, that's where an enum comes in because you enumerate, what your selection is.
Mm-hmm.
And Rust takes that, then adds the ability to pack data into each selection.
Okay.
And methods and the whole lot of things.
There's a whole lot of things, and it says lots of things. So it's like complex enumeration is nothing, something, which could be a of integer 32, and then lots of things. Which is usual. And then you have an empty enumeration. Okay, that's cool. So many flies in here today. Hey, so everyone who just joined, hello. We're doing Rust today. Today we're going to explore enumerations, but we're also going to do a little bit of web scraping. So let's see. Instantiating enumeration variants involve explicitly blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can actually embed multiple different types of things inside of the enumeration. So you'd be like literally a whole body of text. Okay. So do you want to take it away?
Take it away.
Yeah, like you want to start driving? I'm driving right now. You can take the wheel.
Okay. Well, I guess we first get the setup. We're starting with how to make an HTTP request in Rust.
Okay.
That's the main start.
Cool. So we just started from the top. So we need to
Okay.
So in terms of how I see it, we have websites that we're going to actually do a GET request from. So we need to import some sort of library to do a GET request. And now then we have to do something to read it all. So like if we're web scraping, we have different CSS selectors or XPath selectors, whichever one you want. So we're really going to comb through a bunch of XML and CSS.
Yeah.
But it's nice because XML will already have it. If you're basically going to get like a bunch of. Do we actually think where are we stripping from today?
That's entirely open. I wish we had like a voting mechanism. So
we do kind of. We could just ask chat. Like there's 6 people watching. If we're going to do a website scrape, would and you wanted to gather maybe all the links from a website or something, if someone's listening in, type in chat an idea, because if you paste a cool link, maybe it's not too difficult. We'll be able to do it. But until we do that, can you zoom in one more time on your VS Code?
Okay, sure.
Maybe 2 tap.
What about this or?
One more. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So.
All right. So we're going to start a new directory, correct?
Yeah, so I'm trying to go back to my home /jaded. Okay, so I'm in home, so I'm going to make a directory. Web scraper.
All right, so you already created that web scraper.
So, well, I created a folder called web scraper.
Ooh.
So now I do cargo init, and so it gets us a COML file and our src.
Excellent.
So
that's like where we're going to start, right?
I just do code dot, and then it's going to open code in that file.
Oh, excellent. So what we're thinking is that we're going to, we already initialized it, so we have to start with what we're going to use. I think we said we're going to use 3 libraries today.
Yeah, we're going to use request.
Oh, oh yeah. Request. Yeah. It's like request.
Yes, but
okay. So what is that? Request. I think we had that open earlier. And that dependency is. Ooh, you can actually put the features right in the dependencies. Okay.
Yeah, even though we're not going to be using the JSON feature, but
darn it.
I don't think we are. It might be implicit. We'll see.
Sure. I mean, it probably just gives you the ability to represent it in that hierarchy, maybe.
I wonder what all the features are, though. That's something. Because we kind of need like 2 screens. Or I wonder. Let me see. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the library I am using right now, and I'm installing it by copying their example, which is generally what you should do, because the Rust package manager is fickle, and generally the GitHub is a source of truth for most libraries.
Okay.
So it has another dependency called Tokyo, which is fundamental to making it run.
Uh-huh.
And what Tokyo does is it allows asynchronous programming to be done easily in Rust. And for those of you who do not know what asynchronous programming is, maybe we should explain that.
I mean, we don't have to explain it thoroughly, but the idea is you don't want to even, I think it's just a catch-all term that has, I guess, come into like web development as a whole, because I think that if you write properly, properly debug code, then you won't have a blocking mechanism. But when people talk about like asynchronous, like being baked in, that has the ability to, especially like in, JavaScript, it won't keep you inside the callback, as it were. You'll actually be returned something that is like what you want, but you can actually continue on with your code and it will not block.
Yeah, I think that's a fair example.
Yeah. Non-blocking behavior. JavaScript has its promises, and here you have something that's similar. It's a result, correct? So it will return a result, but it doesn't actually have to have the information, but you will still own it, correct?
Yeah, you'll be triggering an asynchronous request. It doesn't block other requests and things from happening while it's waiting to get.
And that's something to talk about, like when you're talking about something that's concurrent versus parallel, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing right here? You're creating an asynchronous function main.
Yeah, so that's the same thing as a regular main function, which is your main loop of things running.
Okay.
Except you have the async, which allows the use of a wait, which is how you trigger an async function.
Okay, so something I remember when we were first talking about it. Let's go back to line 1.
Another thing you can do though is just this, and you can have a block of asynchronous code where you can trigger a wait without having to do the full async.
So it's kind of like an anonymous function.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's a whole that's another lesson. It's all about anonymous functions, which are pretty complex in Rust.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here is I have an asynchronous main now, and I'm creating an asynchronous function that's going to fetch raw HTML from a website of our choosing.
Okay, so 2 things that I'm seeing here right now. Mm-hmm. Line 1, you have the interior, or no, this is an outer dependency, correct?
Yes.
It's after, because there's the 2 notations is shebang. So you have like the actual like exclamation point and then the hash. So this means that we are incorporating a feature from Toke.io and allowing that function to have it.
Yeah.
So that's something that's line 1.
Yeah, that's an important feature of Rust. There's a lot of different things you can, basic features you can add to your code by the use of the shebang and this syntax.
Hey, shout out to BitNative. What's good? Oh, we're hanging out here.
Who's BitNative?
I don't know, but that's cool. They said, what's up?
What is BitNative?
We'll have to find out.
I don't see any bots.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, no obvious bots. Maybe a bot will say what's good. I don't know. Maybe they're passing the Turing test. But that's not a thing for discussion. What we're going to discuss now is this blob of things, this result. And the reason we're returning, and this is our return type, with this arrow, for anyone who didn't see our last stream on Rust, this is specifying what we are returning. And it is a type called a result, which is an enum.
Ooh. Hey, Scott's in chat. What's up, Scott?
And an enum has basically 2 variants.
Okay.
Which are called which are generic types. So you can have an enum, which then the types are generally referred to as T and E.
Okay.
But there's one type is a success, and it returns whatever you want. And the other has an error. And so the type of error we're using for this function is box din standard error. So
Okay.
So standard error is a standard format for Rust errors.
Okay.
And then there's box, which is a Rust pointer type, which allocates things to the heap. And dyn is a trait which is implemented for box types, or
Okay.
things in box types to make it function. And so that is what this is returning. So either this is going to return a type of our choosing.
Okay.
So what we would want was a standard string. Basically, we want it to return a string. I don't know if that is the correct syntax, but we want this to really return a string of HTML. So we're trying to get raw HTML, which we then are going to turn into a document. We are then going to parse for juicy, data.
URL.
Yes, URLs. That's
URLs. Can't say I've used Rust much. I have to say I'm interested in running after a Lighthouse ETH 2.0 validator. ETH 2.0. The struggle is real. Yeah, I heard that the struggle is real.
Everyone wants to get rid of those Uniswap gas fees.
Yeah, no.
And not to pay $10 to send an ERC20 token. That's my dream right now.
Really? It takes $10?
Well, it depends what wallet you're using, but
yeah,
the wallet I'm using, unfortunately, well, it depends on the day. One day it did literally charge me $10.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so crazy.
Just for an ERC20 token.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
what do we got here?
So we have
the
function definition and the return type. And so what we're going to be doing is we are going to be making a request.
Okay.
And so we are going to say we're going to define a variable called HTML. That variable is going to be our request, or the results of our requests.
Okay, cool.
And since we're using requests, we're going to do this. And we're making a GET request to the URL of our choice.
$79 on Jack's wallet last week. Holy. That's nutty.
And so then we are awaiting this call. And so this makes a request. So
let's just give it what one we were working with earlier.
We were working with Stack Exchange.
Okay.
And Stack Exchange has a lot of juicy data.
So let's do that.
Okay. So I'm going to take the Stack Exchange result. This URL is the Stack Exchange or Stack Overflow. Not Exchange. Is Stack Exchange? I'm pretty sure Stack Exchange is a site though.
That's also a site. That's like if you're doing Stack Exchange, that's like if you're sharing off of your full stack. If it was like a Mern or a Lamp or there's so many others.
Okay.
So many stacks.
So
we're just gonna get Stack Overflow search. We're searching for Rust, so we're gonna grab all of those.
And one key thing here is the question mark.
Okay.
And the question mark basically is an error handling. It gives us a degree of error handling where it says, "Is this going to happen?" Or we'll throw appropriately. So let's see what happens if we try and build this. The compi- the, my guess is the compiler is going to yell at me. Let's see
Excellent.
how loudly. Terminal. Okay, what am I doing? Cargo build.
Cargo
That's
build.
why read all. Oh god, this is not good. Yeah, this means WSL is basically crashed.
Excellent.
But so see, somehow I'm in it, but I can't write to it.
Say what?
So, Eric, want to take over briefly while I try and figure out? Because I know what to do. It's just I have to restart the whole thing.
Okay, let me see something real quick. What I'll do, let me share a different screen. Blah, blah. Share screen. Blah, blah. What is it? Okay, so you said Stack Overflow, right?
Yeah.
What was the search query? I mean, what was the HTTP query?
So if you go Stack Overflow and you search for Rust, you get.
What was the actual? Can you post it in chat?
Yes, search Q equals Rust.
Paste that in chat for me. What a query. There we go. Query. Search. So I'm going to put this. I'm using Insomnia for those at home. We're going to see human verification. I'm not a robot. Oh, uh-oh. It was asking me if I'm a robot. Cars. There's cars here, cars here.
Okay, here's the error. I have 11 megabytes of free space in Windows.
Excellent.
Now what do I delete?
You gotta delete Call of Duty now. Because Call of Duty's getting huge for no reason whatsoever.
I gotta delete something. This stream has to go on.
You're fine. I'm doing captchas online.
Cool. This happened to you once though, and I was getting like this WSL2 thing happened just because I had no disk space. I spent like an hour trying other fixes.
Aha. Okay. So what's important here? See, it's doing too good. I want the raw stuff. Preview, raw data. So in terms of what we're trying to get here, this is what we're looking for. We're going to get a bunch of doc types. I'm just looking at the raw data with everybody while you fix yourself up. Let's see. We got a lot of data here. Now, what's interesting about this is that how you look for stuff. So if we're looking for how do you search in here? Mainly what we're trying to do here is, here's a good example. So if we're trying to strip all of the URLs from this, wow. Okay, cool. So if I was trying to strip all of the hrefs, so I would say, okay, anything of this class, this is my CSS selector, grid cell medium none, then I'm like, okay, I want to grab everything from here. So let's look at blah, blah, blah. That has an href. How do I search in this? How are you doing over there?
I have to completely reboot WSL. So I have to go into
Oh,
Windows.
PowerShell.
Yeah, and then I have to
You do
do
shut down.
what?
Then you have to do shut down.
You have to do WSL.x shut down and then start it again.
Okay, so right now, all the top level stuff is saying, okay, we want talent. I don't care about any of that. Let's go back to this. Do visual preview. I already said I'm not a robot. With cars. All right, these are cars. That's a car. That's a car. That has a car. That has a car. That has a car. That has a car. That kind of has a car. That kind of has a car. There's no more cars left. That's not a car. Yo, the internet sucks today. I'm just going to start clicking stuff. Crosswalks. Okay. Vehicles. Okay, so all these basically. So we have idiomatic callbacks in Rust. We're going to say, I want to get everything out of here. So if I go here, go back.
Hey, okay, it worked.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is. Yeah, it's a frustrating thing. But I guess slightly less frustrating than me having to constantly switch between Windows and Ubuntu.
For real. That's why honestly, that's why I picked up a Mac. So I don't have to deal with this anymore. And I get something nice to use. Because Windows, I don't mind Windows.
I know, but I'm on like a desktop.
I know. I'm on a desktop too.
You have a Mac desktop?
No. I'm using a Windows desktop right now as well for media, but
okay.
I've definitely migrated over. All right, so I'm gonna let you drive again. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
And we're back.
Now
more disk space.
Yeah, not as much as I want, but 1.8 gigs is good for a moment.
Not as much as I want. Yo, we still have 8 people watching. I'm flabbergasted that you guys are here. Thank you. Let's see if we got more comments. The captions are serious. Never depend on a single income, blah, blah. Yeah, we definitely got bots.
Of course we have bots. I couldn't explain.
That's how you know we made it.
Okay, so let's see what we're getting here. This is sort of what I expected.
So let's see. You got compiling hyper, TLS, request, web scraper, blah, blah. So you're getting a expected one of 7 possible tokens.
Yeah, so what I think I got to do is, this is one thing to do. Let's try this now. Okay. Oh, yeah, this. So you have to do the double dots. Like that.
Woohoo! All right, let's see.
Okay, so now we got the error I was trying to get, actually.
So if you just say HTML, it's going to return that, correct?
This is the default return type of request.get. So this is request async implementation response.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to return that, I could do this.
Oh.
Result. Okay, so yes, that is what. So I have to do okay.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was like, okay,
that's what okay wraps it as a result, which is kind of interesting because you would think you would do just result HTML, but you got to say okay, this is something. So it kind of makes sense. Interesting. So I can't do that actually. But this is a private module, so it's impossible for me to actually return this type.
Oh.
But what I can do, just to, so I want to print this just to see what I get, is I can do. Let's see, I think I can basically make the result nothing, like that.
Okay.
HTML. And I think I got to do this maybe. Say like.
So wait, do you have those mixed up, or you're returning no? You're returning two things: result.
I'm returning nothing now. It's
okay.
Well, it's a result enum of nothing.
Okay.
So you can have a result where if it doesn't fail, it's just nothing.
Okay.
Is what this is. But if it does fail, it will tell you why. Let's see, so I need a format string.
So we got BitNative asking, what are your cargo lock and cargo.toml files?
So that is the equivalent of a package.json and a package.json lock.
Okay, yeah. So if you don't have experience with JavaScript either, or Node.js, it's when we are listing, I think earlier in the video we spoke about all the different packages that we needed to actually run this, and that we actually only have two dependencies right now.
Yes, so this defines basically all the details of the package. Most importantly, what libraries it uses.
Yeah, so we said that if we're writing a web scraper, then really what we're trying to do is doing a rudimentary GET request. So just being able to get stackoverflow.com search what I was showing earlier, you'll get all of that raw data, and we're going to save it to that variable HTML. Right now we're trying to print a line.
Yeah, although we are trying to print a mysterious type we cannot return.
It's unknown.
It's not unknown, it's private. Which is a whole nother can of worms.
Well, that's for scope questions.
Yeah, that's scoping in a library. Basically, you can't, for polymorphic reasons, you can't access this type. It's a interior type to the function of the library. You can't, let's see. Okay, but this is what it is, though. It's basically it looks like a struct called response with a URL, a status, and headers. A lot of headers.
Oh, good. Yeah. I think I showed them specifically as well. There's a lot of headers that have to do with it. Let's see. Specifically the headers are, let's see. You can tell that it's running Microsoft server. You see that. Or maybe that's what we are. No, I think that's what they are.
Weird. Microsoft server.
Dun dun. For Stack Overflow to boot.
Yeah, I thought that's what only like banks used. So yeah, I've never seen anyone use Microsoft server, but anyway, so this is the default response type, and notice we have no HTML yet.
Yeah, so where's that hiding? That's hiding
in another function. So there's another function called text, which is part of the request library, which I think this should wait. No, oh wait, it's not a function. What this should do is this. So we have a basic request. So we have to resolve that request in asynchronous manner and get the text from it. Let's see if this will build. But not. Oh, it did. Interesting. Ooh.
There it is. So that's exactly what I was showing before on the other program. We were seeing the raw text data. Now we've actually used request to actually grab all of that raw data, and now we get to do stuff with it.
Okay, so now we're going back to now we're going to actually get it to return from Rust in a string. Now we can comment that out because that will actually store the variable by using it. Otherwise, we would have to borrow it to print it. Instead, we're going to do this. Let HTML
Yes.
data equals this, and then we're going to print data.
Now you said that pretty quickly. Could you just say that one more time? Because you did it inside get HTML, then it would own it.
Oh, what? Which part? Which part of the many things I just said?
The line 9, you are printing it because inside of the scope of that asynchronous function, it belongs there. If you wanted to bring it over to line 3, you would have to borrow it, correct?
Yes. So printing is like any function. Well, print ln exclamation mark is kind of a special function, but like any function, it takes the variable and stores it unless you pass it a reference, which is amazing because other languages don't do that. But that's where it gets tricky because I can't just print and return it. I have to, but I can.
Cargo build. So what we're saying here.
Warnings.
Resolve these parentheses.
Snake case. Yeah, Rust really likes snake case. It's kind of what I did here.
Okay.
Though I kind of like this personally, but I guess I have to follow their.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, John.
Yeah. Oh, and we get to see the same result, except we are now returning it as a result. And printing it outside of the function itself. So step 1 is done. We've gotten some HTML in its very raw form, and we have a function that returns it asynchronously.
Excellent. And that was more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Yes, everything in Rust is a little bit more difficult than you think it's going to be. Until you know how to do it, then it just is.
Yeah, I have to hit my head against the table soon.
Okay. So the next step is we are going to get
selectors.
Yeah, we are going to get a library called select.rs. And they have a nice GitHub page that kind of explains how to use it a little bit.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
And the example they use is actually with Stack Overflow also.
What is it? So, what did you say? Cursor or
it's select.io.
Here, I'll take it over real quick. Oh, wait, let's see. Stop screen share. More screens. Allow. All right, so we're at select.rs. All the API is currently unstable and will change as I use the library more in real-world projects. If you have any suggestions or feedback, blah, blah. So let's see, Stack Overflow. Okay, so he uses Stack Overflow, sorted, and he's looking for his page size of 50.
With I think votes. in there.
Yeah, he's looking for votes. So he does document from Stack Overflow HTML, which happens to be in the same.
So he's doing a different thing than we're doing. He's loading it, or they. I don't want to assume gender.
Yes.
They are loading it from a local file. So that's assuming they've already scraped and saved it.
Yes. So we have Stack Overflow.html includes string bang. So you're saying that it is a see a document now. So we're actually for node and document find an attribute of ID. Okay, so that so it allows it, once it's a document now. That's why when I was looking earlier, I was always looking for some sort of class or ID. And that's how you get all the clickable links. So in this one, top 5 questions will, so if you're looking inside to the actual raw question summary was one of those classes. Question hyperlink, vote, count, post. So every time that they try to define that, that's how it actually got the question, the answers, the votes, the tagged, blah, blah. So you can actually say related tags. So what we're going to be looking for is going to be the anchor tag, correct?
Yeah, we're going simple because we don't know the exact schema of all this. If we had another half an hour, we could try and figure out everything we're looking for. Or we could do a more precise, I guess, what is it, scraping? We can scrape for this particular tag with this important thing. We are just going to be using name. So we are going to look for all the link tags, which have the nice name of A.
Say it one more time.
We're looking for all the A tags, which use the select predicate name function.
Okay.
So if you look
scroll
at
through that data, I switched over to you. So can you scroll through that data real quick? Yeah. Where is that actually? We're looking for the A tag.
Here's an A class. This is a link to somewhere. Here's another link to Facebook. So they have a fun Facebook. If they have a Twitter. They have a LinkedIn. So we're gonna just see how there's a lot of links here. We're gonna see how, which is interesting because when you go to this page, you don't really see that many links, but they are there. And this is kind of a useful program because links are often hidden, through text that when you click is a link, but you don't see it as a link.
Okay.
So we are going to so first we're going to be we're going to make sure we're going to be a bit more specific with our types. Here we want to make sure this is a string so we know what we're passing. And to do that, you need, explicit typing. The interesting about Rust is you can just say let, which is kind of, I guess, JavaScript-y.
Yeah.
It just lets common JavaScript, and it's just, it's some data.
Brought to you by. Haha, everything in Rust would be more difficult, and it appears to be. Well said. Hey, Anna, what's up? Typo demon kicking my butt big time.
Okay, so you can see a lot of the interesting libraries Select uses are loading right now.
Funny. Compiling XML server. Sever.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how many there are. Okay. And so now we get a nice error. Oh wait, we thought this was returning string, but instead it's a result. So how do we get out of that result?
So it says expected struct standard string found in enumeration standard result. Okay, so that means that's why we talked about this today, because we were learning about enums and where to find them, right?
Yeah, and how to deal with them, because
you found them.
Yes, and this is kind of confusing because it's giving you all this stuff. Now, what do? Now, notice that an enum wraps a type. Well, you kind of do what you expect, which is you unwrap the type. And what do? You type unwrap. And there it goes. So now we can know that this is a string, because otherwise it would not have been a string, but we would have thought it's a string, and then we'd be rather confused.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to, of course, comment this out because it's logging away too many things. But instead, we're going to convert it into a document that Select can use.
Yes, which I showed earlier. So we're actually going to...
Now there's a function that reads it, and let's pass it the string and see what happens here. No, not result HTML data. Let's see what cargo build says. Ooh. So it needs a trait, which is a certain type of functionality called read, which is not implemented for standard string, obviously. So this is a public function, read, IO read, mutable, readable, or IO result document. It needs this function. Now, a really fascinating exercise would actually be to create our own custom type and add this trait, because we could do that, because all it needs is a single trait. However, that's another hour, or 2 hours maybe.
For sure.
So instead, we're going to wrap our string in another object that has this trait. And there's a standard library that does this called IO cursor. So we're going to let a cursor. We're going to create a cursor object, which is going to be a standard IO cursor. That's just going to be a cursor new, and then the HTML data. So now we have a cursor object which implements that trait. And
is there supposed to be a space there?
Where?
Or equal sign? Or any kind of assignment?
Where? There is right here.
Okay.
It might not be obvious, but...
So, of the type, of the class cursor.
Yeah. And
I would like to say cursor is equal to cursor new.
Yeah. And new is a very common... So cursor, this is basically a struct, and it has a constructor, or it might be an enum. It's either a struct or an enum, but it has a constructor where you pass it data and you create a new variant of it.
And it would make sense if it was an enum in this case. Let me read that up. Let me see.
Yeah, we have to look at the docs of it.
Well, it looks like I have it open right here. Ready? Swiping it over. Struct standard IO cursor.
Okay, it was a struct.
Okay. Cursors are used in-memory buffers. Anything implementing as ref, blah, blah. We may write bytes to a file in our production code, but use an in-memory buffer in our tests. Okay, so let's look at the test. Aha, there it is. So let mutable buffer cursor new. Where did you say it was? Where did you say that it was?
Where did I say what?
If it was a struct versus.
Go to the very top of the page you're just on. Struct. No, the very very top it says struct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it's struct, and that's really most types. So the cool thing about structs and Rust is they're like the glue of everything. Because you just create a struct. They're like basically a class in Java, almost. And that structs contain methods and data objects, and so they basically wrap types and methods, and then they can be even wrapped in enums. And they can implement traits. Structs are kind of
the glue that holds us together.
Yeah, that builds everything. And this is actually the first time I ever worked with Cursor. Now, the important thing is to actually, let's see, expected standard IO. Interesting.
Do you want me to throw it back to you?
Yeah.
All right, we're here.
So
this is expected one type argument.
Is it thinking cursor?
Well, that's one single, right? You want two?
One type argument. Oh, it's probably expecting a cursor from it. It would probably be like cursor string item. Interesting. Let's see. How do I figure out what type cursor is exactly? That's interesting to me because I'm creating a new cursor, and
so it's well. The thing is, like, do you have to tell if it's mutable or not?
Okay. So yeah. This is what the type is.
Yeah.
And this is I guess an easy way if you have a complex type to figure out what type it is try to print it without the proper inference.
Mm-hmm.
So this colon, what do you call that? Shebang?
No, that's not a shebang. Shebang is the exclamation point. That's just a hash.
Okay, hash question mark basically formats any data type into a printable form. But if you don't do that, Rust will tell you this type cannot be printed, but it will tell you the type since Rust does not have a simple type of function that is easy to call as something like Python. Kind of makes sense because you're supposed to know all the types. And this actually makes sense too, though, because you have to specify. Because this is it has a constructor that is an instant. This is basically a generic that says this is a cursor that implemented upon string.
Yep.
So I can do cargo.
So what does that mean? That cursor will return the type string? You said it will return.
It contains a type string. So it's it's a struct that contains method that allows basically to read that string as a buffer. Okay. And so the document wants to be able to read this string in like a buffer format to convert it to an HTML object. So it can do its magic. So so giving it cursor type, I did that. It's not good. And so now we have an object or a document in object with a lot of
Okay, so yeah, we saw the raw stuff, but it's actually saying we do have these nodes.
Yeah. So now we have our selector document object.
There's that something that we came through other again, the tendril.
What?
Tendril it's popping up again.
Yeah. So now what we're going to do is we're going to unwrap it because this is going to basically is a result, or I think it's a result. I have to figure out exactly what kind of type it is.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we could figure that out by the same method as before, getting it to fail.
Excellent.
But let's look at that. Let's see what. Okay, yeah. So this is it's a result.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's a so this uses the same result type, but instead so we have to unwrap it. That's
yes,
what I
sir.
thought.
Okay.
So this is a Rust hack, everybody. Just do this.
Rust hack, everyone.
Yeah, print. If you want to know what type something is, print it without the interpreter, and you figure out what type it is.
Okay.
Kind of weird that it's the easiest method I found so far. So we're going to use find, which is a built-in method.
What it sounds like.
Yeah, we're finding instances of name, which is the name of the
anchor tag, right?
Yep, which is A. And now we're going into the realm of iterators.
Excellent. Because we're gonna be returned a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Because hopefully, and that's what we want, is that we search through all of the plain text. We're going to capture all of the anchor tags
and have some fun with crazy Rust types. We can do that.
Sounds super hype.
But I forgot the important things. Super hype. Fun with Rust types.
It's like getting hype with types.
Okay, so this is when we now one step in, we found. So this is select document, find, select predicate. So it looks like we have another enum.
So it's the document type has a enumeration of find and it returns let's see, of select predicate name cannot be formatted with default format.
Okay. So we have this enum.
So you have to unwrap it again.
Not quite. We're going to let's see. Select document. Find cannot be formatted with the formatter. Find interesting. Instead, we're going to filter map it.
Filter or map or filter map.
It's both. We could we're turning into an iterator.
And that's a functional way of going about it. So you don't set up a for loop. You're just going to.
So yeah, we turn to an iterator, and then we iterate through all the A tags with href that have the attribute of href.
Yeah, so that means if that is true, then filter that.
Yeah, so
because it doesn't do usually in a filter method, you're pretty much like parsing or changing how the data looks, and so that means that we literally have a bunch of data, and we don't care about most of it. So we said in the first way we got all the DNA, we got all the HTML, then we got the cursor, created it into a document. Now, out of all of those A's, all of those A's are not created equal because you want only the ones with an attribute of href because that's the actual link. So the first one we have a function, so we unwrap the document, returned that, and we found that everything inside the A. Then we filtered it. which gives it kind of like it's kind of like that absolute value that you have right there. That's kind of like how the notation is for. Is there a comma in between that or no for filter
No.
map?
No, it's almost exactly like JavaScript.
Okay.
Like this is very similar in syntax to the JavaScript array methods.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even the next one we're going to use is for each,
Yes.
which is now there is this camel case, but fundamentally it's
Now you can just like can you enter in between all those? Yeah, like that. And you just do you have to indent them or no?
I think this is
It's probably not even necessary, right?
so you can do this, and now we can print. So print all the results of this. So we are finding all the tags with name A, and then we're finding the A's. Then we're looking for the hrefs next to the
everything that had like everything that had like a link.
Mm-hmm. And then we're looking for the href attributes, and then that means this gives us an iterator that this filters and creates a new iterator and maps to a new iterator, and then and then on that iterator you can call what's called for each, and then we can print.
Mm-hmm.
And
precisely.
And so now we are printing. Let's see.
So that's kind of like an anonymous function almost, because you get to create like
these are what these are exactly, actually. As far as Rust anonymous functions is what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
But you can define them more explicitly. You can define return types. You can do a lot with anonymous functions.
Wow.
But let's see if this builds. And it cool. And we got links.
Wow. So we got okay, cool. So we got literally everything that has a link. Great.
Yeah, even
now what I would do for a more advanced scraper. So check this out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the top there. You just scroll down and we'll just look at it.
Well, we need to filter all the ones that aren't empty. This is a problem. Like,
well, yeah, that's what happened. That will happen. See right there. See company, teams, talent, advertising. These are all these top level ones. Then I would take those because those have more links. So if we're trying to get every good link, we have to get through it. But there's so many Stack Overflows and Stack Exchanges. Holy.
Yeah, this is Islam's Stack Overflow.
Wow, the Chinese bicycles, gaming mechanics. Holy.
I guess this is the hiking Stack Exchange.
Okay.
What's
your stack for hiking? Okay, well, you know what? This is a great rudimentary example of how to web scrape, but sneakily how to deal with enums in Rust.
And how to navigate the chaotic world of Rust typings.
Yeah, now you actually had like a cool hack. So you can print exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But it'll be like, hey, I was expecting this type, and this is what this is. Because you're expecting a string type, but then it'll be like, yo, this is some other type.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to hide your stuff. We're going to bring it back to the cameras.
Like the interesting thing was, like, I tried to make it a standard IO cursor. It didn't let me do that, but it wouldn't tell me what type it really wanted. So I had to.
Work it out.
Well, by trying to print it, I had to try and print it incorrectly to figure out the type it was.
Now, can you is there like some sort of VS Code extension that will tell you something like that or no?
Yeah, there might be. I mean, Rust does so much. I would bet there's a better way to do it than I'm doing it.
Yeah. So don't.
But
But this is just a cursory thing.
so that's a simple way to look at Rust types.
Excellent. Hey, John.
Yeah.
We're at the end of another Dev Wednesday.
Oh man.
There was a lot of people here today. A lot of people showing up in the chat. Everyone actually still sticking around for that whole thing. Just want to say thank you. I'm Eric and this is John, and we're signing off. I hope everyone enjoyed our adventure into Rust. I think the first one we had was like on iterables, and then we went through how to use the request library, took.io, and cursor. And we actually went through a lot because we went through like exactly how strings are, how you'll ask for something, talk about ownership, borrowing. We spoke on many different things.
Yeah, I mean, that's using any actual Rust library uses so many different concepts you have to understand.
Well, thanks everybody, and good night, and I'll see you next Wednesday.